Hi, Professor Berryhill. This is my presentation for Astronomy 10. I have a separate presentation for Astronomy 11. I wanted to talk about some highlights with what happened within our country, the United States, between 1900 to 2000. There was many events that occurred, and many events that had to do with astronomy itself and science itself that were very much recognized in our American culture. I wanted to start off with the one in 1908, and that was when Hertzsprung describes giant dwarf stars. And I felt like that was important because in astronomy, as we learned about the dwarf stars, the different constellations, about the stars, about what's out there, about different phases of the stars, phases of the moon. And since we focused on that a lot, I felt like that was very important. Actually, this location was in Denmark, and that was in 1908. And he gives a description about how they were. He describes them. He gives more insight about them to the American people, to people in Denmark. So I felt that was an important event, so I actually listed that. In my presentation, I'll have more of a writing and description about each one themselves. Another one that I chose was in 1916. This actually occurred out of the United States. We'll get back to that, but this was very important to me when Albert Einstein introduces the general theory of relativity. That has to do with astronomy. That has to do with science, and I feel like Albert Einstein was a start to a lot of in-depth thinkings, formulas that occurred, what was out there, how much more as people we can learn, how much more we can go in depth with our sciences. Um, in 1923, in United States, Hubble shows the galaxies exist outside the Milky Way galaxy. So, what is out there? Exactly how astronomy is always a new discovery. So, I feel like this was an important event that I jotted down because Hubble shows that galaxies do exist outside the Milky Way, not just within the galaxy of the Milky Way. And that's important because, like again, there's always something out there. Astronomy is constant. Astronomy is constantly something new. Astronomy is something new that we're learning, discovering. And as a team, we're able to do this. As people, individuals, we're able to do this, and it is very cool studies. And actually, back to my timeline, I wanted to introduce another thing, which was in 19, I believe it was 1930. Clyde Tombag, it's capital Tombaugh. If I don't have the right pronunciation, excuse me. He discovers Pluto. What do we know? Pluto as one of our planets. Is it considered a planet now? That's still up in the air, but a lot of people consider it. Some people don't. But Pluto was discovered, and that was in 1930, and that has to do with astronomy again. We relate it to the stars, the planets, what's out there, what is in these galaxies, what is in the sky we look above us, what is in the night, you know. So that was a very cool one I wanted to jot down and explain. In my PowerPoint, again, many of these will be in depth and you'll be able to read more on them and more organized than maybe how my presentation is going, but I'm trying my best. We have in 1962, John Glenn becomes the first American man to orbit Earth. So in the American culture, we were so intrigued, we started putting people out there in space. We started wanting to know more about it. Our scientists increased, scientists' discoveries increased, and so much more has continued to be out there. So therefore, we sent him over there. He orbited the Earth, the first man to orbit the Earth. Not necessarily walk on the moon, but orbit the Earth definitely. We're taking steps as a country to continue to find what's out there. We always are looking for a new discovery, and astronomy always is that cliffhanger to what else is out there and what else we could discover that is beneficial to us as individuals, as humans. Another one is, sorry about that, is we have in 1976, on Mars, the U.S. Viking probes land on Mars. So in U.S., again, how we are developing so much, we landed on Mars and we began discovery. Discovery is what we learn everything in science. It has to do with science, what we're doing science for. We're testing hypotheses. We're finding discoveries, giving accurate numbers. So I felt like that was very necessary to explain to you in this PowerPoint. as well as we have in 1990 the Hubble Space Telescope put into orbit from space. Shuttle discovers Earth, and it's more of a it was basically a telescope put into orbit, space shuttle for more discovery, and that was in 1990. Uh, right here was in 1995. Galileo, this was near Jupiter. Not Galileo space probe reaches Jupiter. That was the name of it. So the space probe reached Jupiter. There was discovery to be there. We had an insight what was going on in Jupiter, the functions of Jupiter, how the visual of Jupiter was, what was going on in Jupiter. That was very important because obviously it has to do with the planets. We have on the next one I jotted down was in 1998 on the moon. The lunar prospector reaches the moon, and I felt that was very important because of many things: moon, stars, planets. Again, all astronomy. This was a very important thing, and the moon is something we can never leave out. In 1998, Galileo discovers origins of Jupiter's rings. Mind you guys, this is all AD, so just letting you know. Time period. And that was important. Galileo discovers origins of the Jupiter rings. It has to do with their planet and what's necessary about the planet. Well, how's the planet orbiting? How the planet's functioning. And in 1999 AD, scientists discovered the real Hubble constant. Now that's pretty cool. Now scientists put a lot of work. Scientists were just trying to discover many things. So the Hubble constant was important. I put that on obviously as a point in my slide in my presentation. Another one, which I'll use as the last one to sum everything up, in 2000 on Mars, new evidence was found of water on Mars. Is there life out there? This is astronomy. This is science. There's always something new to discover. Don't ever expect the least. And I feel like in 2000 AD, that was very important for many people to know. There was water found on Mars. Now that's pretty cool. So again, that was my presentation for Astronomy 10. I hope I gave you the insight of what more my PowerPoint will be in depth. And thank you, Professor Berryhill. And that is my first portion, and I'll be sending you my PowerPoint on top of that. I'll be attaching an Astronomy 11 presentation as well. Thank you.